Have you ever looked at the most successful people on earth, the billionaires, the CEOs, the disruptors, and the true masters of their domain, and wondered what their real secret is? You might think their success comes down to a natural genius, amazing luck, or just a brutal, non-stop work ethic. But if you think that, you'd be wrong. There is one single, non-negotiable habit they all share, no matter what industry they work in. This habit is the secret engine that powers their ability to constantly evolve, adapt, and dominate their field. This powerful method is called the 5-hour rule. This rule is surprisingly simple, yet the way they execute it is what separates the average person from the truly extraordinary one. The rule states clearly that every elite performer, every truly successful person, dedicates one strategic hour every day, or a total of 5 hours every single week, to deliberate practice, intentional reading, and deep reflection. This habit is their safety net and their competitive advantage. This video is your complete blueprint for putting this strategic learning system, the very one used by the world's most successful people, into your own life today. We will break down the 5-hour rule into its 3 strategic pillars: read, reflect, and experiment. We will show you exactly how to convert these small, focused blocks of time into success that grows, compounds, and becomes exponential. The foundation, the secret elite habit. We start by making sure we all understand the rule and why it works so powerfully. The 5-hour rule, a concept studied and popularized by Michael Simmons, is absolutely not about passive consumption. It's not about scrolling your phone or watching TV. It is entirely about deliberate, strategic input. Most people think of learning as something that completely ends the day they finish school or college. Successful people think differently. They view learning as an active, daily process, a personal, non-negotiable commitment to constant self-improvement. They deeply understand that in a world where everything is changing faster than ever, the exact moment you stop learning, you immediately start falling behind. Stagnation is the greatest enemy of success. The proof that this rule works is clear, both in history and in modern business. Look at Benjamin Franklin, often credited as the original founder of this rule. He was notorious for setting aside large chunks of his day, which he called his fives, purely for dedicated reading, writing, and strategic thinking. He didn't just stumble upon revolutionary inventions or political breakthroughs. He systematically built his knowledge base through disciplined time, which led to incredible breakthroughs in science, politics, and business. Look at modern leaders like Oprah Winfrey. She openly credits her book club and her constant, intentional reading as fundamental to her personal evolution and growth, which ensures she remains an influential force across multiple businesses and media industries. She knows that new knowledge is necessary to lead. And look at Bill Gates. He famously takes Think Weeks several times a year, where he retreats completely with stacks of books and papers, dedicating all his time to processing and integrating new information. More importantly, he practices the 5-hour rule daily. He consumes an average of 50 books a year, a reading pace that is only possible through consistent, daily, dedicated time set aside for learning. Their secret is not that they simply work harder than everyone else. Their secret is that they learn smarter and with purpose. They treat their knowledge acquisition as a competitive advantage that no one can take away. Now, let's break down the 3 precise pillars they use to maximize this strategic time. Pillar I, read, the strategic input. The first pillar is read, but we must define this as the strategic consumption of information. Remember, this is not passive scrolling or browsing. This is highly targeted input designed for maximal value and relevance to your life mission. Action 1. The 80/20th reading filter, signal versus noise. Successful people do not read randomly, they filter and discard ruthlessly. They apply the powerful Pareto principle, also known as the 80/20th rule, which states that 80% of the value comes from 20% of the effort or material. Before you open a new book, start an article, or listen to a long podcast, you must train your mind to ask, what is the one core concept or high-value skill I must extract from this material? You read with extreme intention. You skim the tables of contents, the chapter summaries, and the key conclusions first. This ensures you are consuming signal, the critical 20% of the knowledge, and ruthlessly discarding the rest, the 80% noise. This focused approach instantly makes your single learning hour immensely productive and valuable. Action 2. The intellectual cross-train, non-field learning. The most groundbreaking breakthroughs rarely happen inside a single, narrow industry, they almost always happen at the intersection of diverse ideas. The 5-hour rule demands that you practice intellectual cross-training. This means forcing your mind to learn concepts outside your primary field. If you are a coder, spend your learning hour studying ancient philosophy or military history. If you are a writer, spend your hour researching behavioral biology or quantum physics. This strategic exposure forces your mind to form unusual and powerful connections that your competitors, who are only reading the same industry reports, will never see. This is exactly where true innovation lives. Think of Bill Gates reading about complex disease eradication strategies and applying that systemic thinking to developing software, that is intellectual cross-training in action, leading to massive breakthroughs. This broad learning capacity guarantees you can solve problems others don't even know exist. Pillar 2. Reflect, the internal processing. The second pillar, reflect, is the point that truly separates the casual reader from the genuine master. Reading is mere input. Reflection is internalization, it's the sacred space where information is processed, integrated, and finally converted into personal wisdom. This is where knowledge becomes power. Action 3. The Feynman Technique, simplifying. Richard Feynman, the famous Nobel Prize-winning physicist, developed a technique that is now a cornerstone of elite reflection. The core idea is simple: if you cannot explain a complex topic simply, you do not truly understand it. During your reflection time, choose one challenging concept you learned this week and force yourself to teach it out loud to an imaginary student who has absolutely no prior knowledge of the topic, or a literal pet. Where do you stumble? Where do you resort to confusing jargon or technical language? Those are your exact gaps in understanding. This technique ruthlessly exposes the illusion of knowledge and forces you to rebuild the concept until you achieve true, deep mastery. Action 4. The journaling loop, identifying mistakes. Journaling in the context of the 5-hour rule is not emotional venting, it is strategic error detection and self-correction. Successful people dedicate serious time to reviewing their own failures, mistakes, and flawed decisions. They use the journaling loop to identify patterns of error. What assumption did I make yesterday that cost me time and energy today? What action did I take that violated my best strategic principles? This intense self-analysis is how self-correction happens quickly. It's why companies like Google and Amazon are meticulous about conducting postmortems after every project. They treat every mistake as non-negotiable data that must be learned from. You must do the exact same for your career and your life. Pillar 3. Experiment, the output. The third pillar, experiment, is the final, most crucial step where theory is converted into real-world value. Knowledge is useless until it is applied, tested, and proven in reality. Action 5. The low-stakes test, immediate application. The moment you gain a new concept, a new technique, a powerful phrase, or a key strategy, you must immediately develop a habit of applying it in a low-stakes environment. Do not wait for the big presentation or the critical meeting. Use the new concept in a casual conversation with a friend, test the new negotiation technique in an internal email, or try the new programming function on a small sandbox project. This quick, low-stakes application converts abstract knowledge into solid muscle memory. It instantly shows you the real-world friction and forces you to adapt the theory to reality, giving you a huge edge when it truly matters. Action 6. The feedback mechanism, iterative improvement. Elite performers thrive on honest feedback. The average person avoids it because they fear judgment. The 5-hour rule requires you to deliberately seek critique to accelerate your growth. After implementing your low-stakes test, find a trusted peer, mentor, or expert, your selective counsel, and ask a single, powerful question: what was the single most obvious flaw in that execution? This accelerates your improvement curve dramatically. You are not waiting for general commentary, you are targeting the core weakness of your application. This iterative feedback mechanism is the fastest path to mastery and ensures you never stagnate. Conclusion: the ultimate competitive advantage. The 5-hour rule is not a difficult burden. It is the ultimate competitive advantage and the clearest path to self-mastery. The key difference between the successful person and the average person is not in their inherent talent, but in their deliberate, non-negotiable commitment to continuous self-improvement. This rule ensures that while everyone else in the world is static, you are constantly compounding knowledge, compounding wisdom, and compounding success. By dedicating just one strategic, focused hour per day, you guarantee that you remain the most prepared, most adaptable, and most valuable person in any room you enter. It's time to stop leaving your success to luck or genetics. It's time to permanently install the learning system of the world's most successful people. If this blueprint resonated with you, if you are committed to the non-negotiable process of self-mastery, then it is time to make a commitment. Hit that like button, subscribe to the Solitude Scroll, and drop a comment below and tell me which strategic pillar of the 5-hour rule, read, reflect, or experiment, will you implement today?